What's up YouTube? Welcome back for another division prediction video. Today we got the AFC West and we'll be predicting where each team will finish from first to last. And stay tuned for the rest of the divisions. And once the regular season starts, you can start expecting some weekly pick'em videos where we're going to predict who's going to win each and every game of the season. And when college football starts, we'll also do some picks from the ESPN fantasy game where we predict who's going to win each game based on the games that are on the ESPN. This weekend was the start of preseason football. I was able to catch a few games, watch the Dolphins and Falcons, and man, that Dolphins O-line looks troubling. The cornerback, that's not looking too good, but we'll see. Can't take much away from preseason. Anyways, let's get started with the AFC West. Alright, AFC West. Now compared to the other divisions we covered so far, this is the best one. Now, first of all, they have a combined record of 35 wins and 33 losses, which is the only positive combined record we covered so far. And all the teams in this division heavily relies on their offenses to win games, except for the Broncos, who heavily relied on their defense to win games, and had a disappointing season under Nathaniel Hackett, which caused them to be fourth in the division last year. Now, all the teams not named the Chiefs are playing catch-up to the Chiefs. Now, will anyone be able to dethrone the Chiefs? Will the Broncos be able to bounce back? Will the Raiders find any success? Probably not, but stay tuned anyways. Alright, winning the AFC West, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. I know, shocking, surprising, right? But as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to argue against the Chiefs. And it doesn't help that they have the best tight end in the game in Travis Kelce right now. But an underrated aspect of this offense is the run game. And they have a tough runner in Isaiah Pacheco and a receiver threat in McKinnon. Now, speaking of receiver threats, if last year showed you anything, it showed that as long as you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you don't need big names in receivers to find success. Well, and it also, Travis Kelce obviously helped with that, but their projected main receiving threats this year looks like to be Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. Now, reports are coming from camp. There's a standout undrafted free agent receiver known as Justin Ross, who was but was projected as a first-round draft pick at one point, but went undrafted due to concerns of his neck injuries. Now, I think he'll definitely get some contribution. We'll see how he plays. Hopefully he does good. I'm rooting for the guy. And, Now, looking at this offense, last year they did have the best offense in the league, and their only big loss coming from Orlando Brown Jr., who they did replace with former Jags Jawan Taylor. They also did lose McCole Hardman, but, they got weapons for days there. Now, looking at the defenses, they did lose Frank Clark, but in the last few drafts, they have been drafting young edge rushers. In last year's draft, they did draft George Karlaftis, and this year's draft, they drafted Anaduke Uzumwa? I think that's how you say it. Don't come at me. But they also have the second best defensive tackle in Chris Jones, just behind the one and only Aaron Donald. They also bolstered their linebacker group by adding Drew Tranquill, and their secondaries are filled with young, developing talents. And the secondary shows that they've been doing great in the draft so far. They drafted Trent McDuffie last year, as well as Cooks, who's now the starting safety for this team. And the way the Chiefs has approached building this team has been very smart if you look at it. It's been very cost effective, and the team is young, which allows them to keep key players like Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. So with all that in mind, in my opinion, the dynasty continues. In second place, we got the Denver Broncos. Now, I know it's a bold pick, but hear me out. Just by losing Nathaniel Hackett and adding Sean Payton, I think that's going to help them tremendously. And I also think Russ will go back to his better days. So I think he's going to play a lot better just by playing under Sean Payton. And that alone should boost the Broncos offense a ton. But they also added depth at receiver in Marvin Mims, which was a great idea due to Tim Patrick, who looks like he's going to be out for the season, and KJ Hamler, who knows when he's going to return. So that draft was a great pick. But they also did sign Samaj Pirine, who's going to be the starter until Javonte Williams is able to recover from his ACL injury from last year. And they also strengthened the O-line by adding Mike McGlinchey. So this offense only should go up theoretically. So that alone improves the offense. But now looking at this defense, last year this team relied on the defense to win games, which they ranked 7th in total defense last year. The defensive line um, contains some new names, but they were able to get 10th in run defense last year. So we'll see if that'll be the same case. They did lose some players in that front seven, um, not the linebacker, but the defensive line. And they also look at the secondary as definitely their strong suit, as they have a corner that can lock up any receiver in Patrick Surtain. And it looks like the second corner will be Damari Mathis, who is a second-year corner. This group will be paired up with the safety duo of Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. This defense has the potential to repeat what they did last year, but it will depend on their questionable front seven. We'll see how they'll be able to how to defend the run without Bradley Chubb and those new names on the defensive line. They added Zach Allen, some other new guys on there. Overall, this team may surprise people, as they should return to form and definitely will be better under Sean Payton. I do believe in Sean Payton. He will fix these guys up, and I do think. And if you're wondering, I'm not a Broncos fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. This is my brother's jersey. In third, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, on paper, this team looks very good with an explosive offense and a solid defense filled with big names all around. So looking at this team, how does a team that looks this good blow a 27-0 lead against the Jags? Now, the answer to that question is my main reason for why they will slightly disappoint this year. As I do believe their head coach, Brandon Staley, is overrated and not that great of a coach. It might even be replaced by Kellen Mond by the end of the season. For a team that is talented, to be blowing that big of a lead shows they are unable to make in-game adjustments to prevent that comeback, and I think that just all goes to the head coaches. So, looking at that, the Chargers have arguably a top 5 quarterback in the league, and the wide receiver duo of Kellen Mond and Mike Williams is one of the best ones in the league right now. And they even strengthened that by drafting Quentin Johnson out of TCU in this year's draft. Not to mention, they also have Eckler, who is crazy good with the ball in his hands, whether that's through handoffs or receiving. Now, I believe the best thing they did for this offense was bringing Kellen Mond, who will bring in creative plays and will design schemes and plays that will help with the efficiency of this offense. Now, if you look last year at their stats, they were the 3rd best passing team, and surprisingly, they were the 30th best running offense, which is like one of the worst. They're worst, which is surprising when you have a running back like Eckler, and you also have I believe his name is John Kelly, the backup. But with that in mind, I think Kelmon's going to help with the run game and probably developing offensive plays. But I just think the head coach is going to be holding them back a little bit, whether that be in-game adjustments or time management or stuff of that nature. Now, if you look at the other side of the ball, they have a ton of big names on that defense. You would think they would have one of the better defenses in the league with big names all around. But of course, injuries have played a factor in preventing that. They have one of the best pass rushing duos in the league in Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, and that's a lead right there when they're on the field. One of their biggest issue though was that run defense. They were one of the worst teams last year in defending the run. They ranked 28th in the league. But they also were carried by an underrated secondary. That kind of helped out a bit. They were ranked 7th in the league last year in defending the pass. And if you look at the secondary, that secondary has been good. You know, Asante Samuel had a breakout year last year, I would say. He played pretty well. How many picks did he get in that playoff game? I think it was like 2 or maybe 3. But he played well. But they also have who's the other corner? I forgot. But he's good. They also have an elite safety in Derwin James. And what they have tried to improve in this defense was the addition of Eric Hendricks. They hope his presence alone will improve the run defense. But we'll see if he will be able to play like he did in years prior. Yeah, it's the defense. Overall, this team has great structure and looks amazing on paper. Unfortunately, this is that head coaching that kind of brings everything down for me. Because without a good coach, the team won't like surpass expectations. But I kind of actually believe that like he will be fired during the season just for disappointing a little bit, and will probably be replaced by Kellen Mond. And once they get Kellen Mond, I think that's when they'll really like take off and go past their potential. So that's the Los Angeles Chargers for you at third. In fourth, and last but not least, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Raiders might actually be in the running for Caleb Williams. I do not have a lot of hope for this team at all. Now, they kind of look like a mess to me. I don't know what they're planning to do this year, but if I were them, I'll probably just be tanking for Caleb Williams. They replaced their former quarterback Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo and lost Darren Waller as well. Now, this offense is still solid as they have weapons with Devontae Adams, who is still one of the league's best receivers. They also have Jacoby Myers, an underrated receiver coming from the Patriots. And they have Hunter Renfrow, a good slot receiver. But there's a situation with Josh Jacobs, who is holding out until he gets a new contract, which is a situation that a lot of teams are dealing with right now, as the running back market is declining, and we'll see what happens with that. But if you look at the O-line, it's not looking great. It's filled with names I haven't even heard of. This defense might be the worst in the league. The only good aspect of this defense is the edge rushers. They have Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, and the newly drafted Tyree Wilson. And the linebacker group might be the worst in the league. Not a lot of good guys on there. The secondary slightly improved with the addition of Marcus Peters. But other than that, this team will have to rely heavily on their offense to win games, which is going to be harder, especially without Josh Jacobs. But I won't be surprised if the Raiders decide to blow it up and decide to tank and trade away the star players such as Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams for ammunition to probably acquire Caleb Williams, who is definitely a highly touted prospect and could be one. He's a good one. He's a good one. So we'll see. It'll be a great name for. It'll be a great spot for Las Vegas, not too far from South California. So we'll see. So this division is very offensive heavy, which should make for entertaining football. But as long as Mahomes is healthy and on the Chiefs, this is going to be a fight for second. So the Chiefs are still another strong Super Bowl contending team, whereas the Broncos and Chargers will probably compete for a wild card spot. And again, my prediction for the Raiders is they'll be competing for Caleb Williams, which I think will be a great spot for him. So that's the AFC West. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for the rest of the divisions.